Plano West, are you ready?
Yes.
Hunter, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. 9 minutes on the clock, and here's toss-up 1. During this battle, the twin villages of Krinkelt and Rocheroth were defended by the 2nd Infantry Division on the approaches to Elsenborn Ridge. At the crisis of this battle, Anthony McAuliffe gave the command
Battle of the Bulge.
for 10.
Nice.
Near the end of World War II, this woman traveled with George Patton's army and recorded the liberation of Buchenwald concentration camp for 10 points each. Name this photojournalist whose picture of the Fort Peck Dam was the first cover of Life magazine.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Lange.
I don't know.
It's a woman. Lange.
Lange.
Margaret Burke White. Burke White married this author of Tobacco Road. They collaborated on a photo essay about Southern poverty titled You Have Seen Their Faces.
Wait, isn't it Bars?
Sure.
Bars?
Erskine Caldwell.
Oh, that's
Burke
right.
White photographed this world leader on the day of his assassination at Birla House in New Delhi.
Oh.
Gandhi.
Gandhi, yeah, Gandhi.
Gandhi?
Yes, that is 10 on the bonus. Toss-up 2. The unusual molar teeth of leopard seals enable this behavior, which in sponges relies on cells called choanocytes. A siphon allows bivalves such as clams. Yes.
Filtration?
No, -5. A siphon allows bivalves such as clams and oysters to perform this behavior. Lamellae in the flamingo beak allow the birds to perform this behavior to consume brine shrimp. Baleen whales feed on krill via for 10 points. What behavior in which an animal captures food floating on water? In water. Yes.
Filter feeding.
That's what I have for
Protest
10.
or no?
Noted. For 10 points each, answer the following about the computer scientist Ron Rivest. He is the R in RSA, this kind of crypto system that allows anybody to encrypt a message so that only the intended recipient can decrypt it.
Is that public key? Starts with
Defer.
R. Public key?
Yes. He is also the R in the CLRS, a massive textbook serving as an introduction to these procedures that are guaranteed to solve a given problem.
Algorithms?
Sure.
Is that what
Probably.
Algorithms?
Yes. Ron Rivest helped develop MD5, which is this type of one-way function that turns a potentially complex object into an integer or short string.
Anybody?
Reverse hash.
Defer.
Reverse hash.
Just hash. That's 20 on the bonus.
sorry about that.
Toss-up 3.
Nice.
In Frida Kahlo's painting Henry Ford Hospital, a torso, a fetus, and one of these animals float above Kahlo's bedridden body. Many species of these animals stab one another with a love dart during... Yes.
Snails.
For 15.
Good job.
The Nebra sky disk is a bronze artifact depicting the sun, the moon, and the Pleiades for 10 points each. Like the first Neanderthal specimens, it was found in this country.
Germany.
Germany?
Germany.
Germany?
Yes,
job.
the Lion Man figurine found in Hohenstein-Stadel is a shamanistic sculpture made from the ivory of this species of woolly Ice Age mammal.
I like
Well,
mammoth.
mammoth.
Mammoth?
Yes, the oldest depiction of the human form is the Venus of Hohlefels, unearthed in 2008, which is similar in style to the limestone Venus figurine found near this Austrian village in 1908.
Willendorf.
Defer?
Willendorf.
Yes, that's all 30. Toss up 4. In this book, a man tries to reduce seasickness via the chain links strategy of tying boats together. An editor added this book's opening line explaining, "The empire long divided must unite." This novel depicts the Battle of Red Cliffs. Yes,
The Romance of Three Kingdoms?
yes, for 10.
Good job.
10 points each. Name these TV shows with characters named Verna. A woman named Verna was Jenna Maroney's deadbeat mother on this NBC sitcom.
Oh, 30 Rock.
Defer?
30 Rock.
Yes, another deadbeat named Verna was the stepmother of Sean Hunter, Corey Matthews' best friend, on this 90s sitcom. It inspired a Disney Channel sequel that was canceled in
Like
2017.
Girl Meets World,
Yeah,
Boy Meets World?
Girl-
Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
Defer?
Boy Meets World?
Yes. The second season of this ABC show featured a cancer-stricken Supreme Court justice named Verna Thornton, who mentored Olivia Pope.
Oh, yeah.
Olivia-
Scandal.
oh.
Scandal.
Oh, yeah.
Scandal.
Scandal?
Yes, all 30. Toss up 5. This country nationalized a nickel deposit at Moa Bay after demanding that Western gas companies process cheap Soviet crude oil. In 1970, this country's planned 10 million ton harvest failed. This country hosted Eldridge Cleaver, Assata Shakur, and other Black Panthers during the 1970s. Yes,
Cuba.
for 10.
Yeah.
10 points each. Answer the following about the U.S. presidential election of 1892.
Okay.
Because this Democrat won, he became the 24th president after having also been the 22nd president.
Yeah, Cleveland.
Cleveland?
Yes, this Illinois politician was Cleveland's running mate. His grandson of the same name made two unsuccessful runs for the presidency in the 1950s.
Ally Stevenson the first.
Yes. This populist from Iowa won several western states in 1892. In 1880, he had run as the candidate of the Greenback
Oh,
Party.
wait. So, like, Weaver. I want to say Weaver.
Yes, that's all 30. Toss up 6. In Denmark, this equation is called the Bjerrum equation since its logarithmic form was derived using Bjerrum's work on mass action. This equation can be used to find the isoelectric point of an amino acid or the concentration. Yes,
Anderson Hasselbeck.
for 15.
Nice.
10 points each. Answer the following about artistic depictions of the poet Guillaume Apollinaire. Apollinaire is depicted as a jester in this Spanish artist's family of Saltimbanque, which he painted around the same time as Boy with a Pipe.
Okay, Boy with a Pipe is Picasso?
Sure.
Picasso?
Yes, and Marc Chagall painting depicts Apollinaire as this biblical character who sits under an apple tree in Peter Paul Rubens' The Fall of Man.
Adam.
Adam?
Yeah.
Adam?
Yes, a marble bust wearing sunglasses appears in this artist's portrait of Guillaume Apollinaire. His paintings often depicted marble statues in the streets of Turin.
Okay, turn.
Turin? Like Italian?
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Answer?
Bajani.
Giorgio de Chirico, that's 20 on the bonus. Toss up 7. One of this song's performers dedicated it to Vale Cerullo, a Berkeley College student who died in a motorcycle crash. Its refrain asks, how can we not talk about family when family is all we got? Yes.
See you again.
15.
Nice.
A British ambassador becomes aware of a gun-running scheme in this author's novel, Mount Olive. For 10 points each, name this author of a quartet of novels set in Egypt.
Oh wait, Mafuz. Yeah, probably. That's a trilogy shit. Okay.
Mafuz.
Lawrence Durrell.
Yeah.
Durrell's quartet is named after this Egyptian city. In ancient times, its lighthouse was a wonder of the world.
Alexandria.
Yes, a subplot of the Alexandria Quartet concerns brothers who belong to this church, the largest Christian denomination in Egypt.
Yeah, Coptic Church.
Coptic.
Yes, that's 20 on the bonus. Toss up 8. This goddess and her husband deposed the snake-like Ophion and Eurynome. Hesiod claims that this goddess fled to the Cretan city of Litos to give birth. This goddess and her mother Gaia are often equated with the Phrygian mother goddess Cybele. This Titaness hid one of her sons in a cave. Yes.
Rhea.
10.
Good job.
Several bag models attempt to describe the confinement of these particles for 10 points each. Name these particles that cannot exist in isolation below the Hagedorn temperature, which is approximately 2 trillion kelvins.
Quarks, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's just quarks, because not quarks.
Quarks.
Yes, this form of charge possessed by quarks and gluons explains the strong force in QCD.
Color, sure. Color.
Color.
Yes, this is the net color charge of any free particle.
What? White? I don't know.
Wait, color charge? 0 like white? Or
Answer.
White.
I have 0, that's 20 on the bonus. Toss up 9.
Thanks.
In 1931, James Rolfe resigned from this office to assume a state governorship. The first African American to hold this office, Willie Brown, was succeeded.
Yeah, Mayor of San Francisco?
Yes, for 15.
Nice job, man.
This English word is a corruption of a title given to Mughal governors for 10 points each. Give this word that described employees of the British East India Company who amassed great wealth, often illicitly.
Nawab.
Say it again.
Nawab.
I have Nabob.
Okay,
This
okay.
vice president
Yeah,
under
sorry.
Richard Nixon delivered a speech written by William Safire that decried nattering nabobs of
Yeah,
negativism.
yeah. Agnew.
Yes, Sirad ud Dowlah, the Nawab of this region, infamously held British prisoners in the black hole of Calcutta.
It's like West Bengal. Like
What is that
Bengal. What do they want? Region? Bengal.
Yes, that's 20 on the
Yeah.
bonus. Toss up 10. In the book of Judges, Gideon's followers shout about one of these objects, of the Lord and of Gideon. The book of Kells changes the word for these objects to the word for joy when Jesus says, I came not to bring peace, but one of these items. During his arrest, Jesus healed a servant whose ear had been lopped off by Peter with, for 10 points, what type of weapon that Isaiah declared? Yes,
Like a sword.
10.
Good job.
10 points each. Name these techniques in competitive swimming. In this type of event, swimmers are allowed wide latitude in their choice of strokes. Oddly, this term is used interchangeably with front crawl, which is the most common stroke used during this
if you're
event.
allowed in freestyle.
I think it's freestyle.
Freestyle.
Yes, this stroke emerged through a loophole in the rules of breaststroke. It is the only stroke that requires a dolphin kick while the arms make a keyhole
Fly.
shape underwater.
Fly, just
Like
fly.
no, it's
It's
called
butterfly.
butterfly, right?
Butterfly.
Yes. During freestyle and backstroke races, swimmers reverse direction by performing this action, which involves rolling forward underwater and pushing off a wall.
Defer.
Flip turn?
That's all 30. Toss up 11. Some Sri Lankans perform this activity while sitting on single-poled stilts. People illegally use squirt bottles of sodium cyanide for this activity in the Philippines. Traditionally, Irrawaddy dolphins were trained to help in this activity. Tokyo's Tsushigi... Yes.
Fishing?
Yes, for 15.
Good
Wow,
job.
nice job, man.
The opening lines of this poem are adapted from a sermon delivered in 1622 by Lancelot Andrews for 10 points each. Name this poem that describes the sore-footed camels who transport the title figurines to Bethlehem.
Okay.
Sword-footed
I think it's
He's
the
talking
Yates-
about type
Yates
of
poem.
figurines.
So like Yates
Answer?
No answer.
Journey of the Magi. This poet wrote Journey of the Magi.
Wait, go.
Elliot.
Yes, Journey of the Magi ends with the speaker stating that he should be glad of another of these phenomena. In a Randall Jarrell poem, this title phenomenon occurs to a ball turret gunner.
Death.
Yes, that's 20 on the bonus. Toss up 12. This rock forms the Coconino and Tapeats layers of the Grand Canyon. Paleocurrents can be tracked by planar cross-bedding in this rock, like that at Zion Canyon. This rock's Arcos variety contains more than 25% feldspar. Compression-driven metamorphism of this rock in orogenic belts can form quartzite. For 10 points, name the sedimentary rock that forms out of a namesake granular material. Yes,
Sandstone.
for 10.
Good job.
Nice one.
For 10 points each, answer the following about the chemistry of Tide Pods. The main ingredients in Tide Pods are anionic and non-ionic detergents, which act as surfactants and thus lower this property of water.
Surface tension.
Yes, Tide Pods also contain a polymer comprising numerous primary and secondary examples of these functional groups which occur at the N-termini of proteins.
It's amino.
Amine, yeah.
Amine.
Yes, suppose 100 people who each weigh 100 kilograms, each eat 100 Tide Pods.
Let's do it.
If 50 of them die, this quantity equals 1 Tide Pod per kilogram.
This quantity, one type of, a half
Like
life.
no,
Answer, please.
LD50.
Yes, that's Here's toss up 13. This novel's protagonist claims that Tennyson was only a rhymester and is beaten by 3 boys for asserting that Byron was the greatest poet. At the end of this novel, the protagonist leaves home to forge the uncreated conscience of his race. This 1960 novel is the first published book to portray the conflicted Irish Catholic Stephen Dedalus. Yes.
Yeah, Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man.
10.
Knew it on the first
The
one,
Buy
sorry.
American, Hire American executive order directed federal agencies to propose reforms regarding the approval of these visas for 10 points each. Name this type of visa that allows foreign workers to be employed in
What?
specialty occupations by U.S. employers.
H-1B is what you said,
Yeah.
right? H-1B.
Yes, the H-1B visa is a dual intent visa, meaning holders can also apply for a permanent residency card, which has this colorful nickname.
Green.
Yes, H-1B visas are administered by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, part of this cabinet department that John Kelly led before he became the presidential
Homeland
chief of staff.
Security.
That's all 30. Toss up 14. The British Freedom of Information Act became law during this leader's premiership. This leader struck the so-called Granita Pact in 1994 with the man who would succeed him. The Good Friday Agreement advanced the... Yes.
Where?
Yes, for 10. Flavius Aetius chose to avoid storming a fortified line of wagons at this battle for 10 points each. Name this battle fought in AD 451 against the Huns in what is now northeast France.
Yeah, Norway.
Answer?
Defer.
Chalon.
Yes. This leader of the Huns withdrew from Gaul after the Battle of Chalon. Answer?
Attila.
This Germanic people fought alongside the Romans at Chalon under their king Theodoric, who died in the battle. They were later driven into Spain, which they ruled until the 8th century.
Yeah, just where. Yeah, Visigoths.
Answer?
Visigoths.
All 30. Toss up 15. This country's music inspired Le Bagnanier by one of its natives, Louis Moreau Gottschalk. Another composer from this country called for a piano's strings to be scraped in his The Banshee and was named Henry Cowell. While living in this country, a composer wrote a symphony whose Largo second movement has an English... Yes.
United States.
10. 10 points each. Name these disputed regions in Asia. Both India and Pakistan claim this mountainous
Kashmir,
northern
Kashmir,
region.
Kashmir.
An Indian state is named
Yes.
Jammu
Yeah.
and...
Kashmir.
Yes. Mount Hermon is just northeast of this plateau region that has been disputed between Israel and Syria since the Six Day War.
Golan Heights.
That's not.
Yes, the largest date palm forest in the world is along the course of this river near the disputed Iran-Iraq border. The confluence of the Tigris and Euphrates forms this river.
Defer.
Châtellerault.
That's all 30. Toss up 16. This U.S. state is the site of the National Toy Hall of Fame, as well as the... Yes.
New York.
15.
Nice.
For 10 points each, answer the following about Icarus. This Flemish artist is traditionally credited as the
Bruegel?
painter of
Bruegel?
landscape. Yes. W.H. Auden noted how everything turns away quite leisurely from the disaster of Icarus's fall in this poem.
Musée de Beaux-Arts.
Yes, the goddess Palutena aids this winged angel-like protagonist in the Kid Icarus series of video games.
No answer.
Hit, that's 20. Toss up 17. Planck's constant is about 4.14 times 10 to the minus 15th times this unit times seconds. Particle masses are often reported as powers of 10 times this unit over c squared. For instance, the proton has a mass of about 938 million, yes,
Electron volts.
15.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was easy.
This orphan sells her horses and carriage at a huge profit to a man fleeing Brussels during the Battle of Waterloo for 10 points each. Name this character who happily accepts gifts from the Marquis of Stein despite being married to Rawdon Crawley.
So is it Amelia or Becky? Becky Sharp.
Yes, Becky Sharp is the anti-hero of this English
Vanity
satirist.
Fair. Oh, shit.
It is William Makepeace Thackeray.
Yeah.
This man buys Becky's carriage. He dies in suspicious circumstances after signing a portion of his life insurance over to Becky.
Sorry, this is probably Joss, I think.
Go.
Joss.
Yes, 20. Toss up 18. This type of disaster leads to the discovery that Joanna Burden was murdered in William Faulkner's Light in August. A poem about this type of disaster laments, "There lay that store I counted best," before stating, "The world no longer let me love, my hope and treasure lie..."
Fire.
10. The Ryan White Care Act established programs for people living with this disease for 10 points each. Named a sexually transmitted disease that killed hundreds of thousands of Americans in the 1980s.
AIDS.
Yes. This 1987 book by Randy Schiltz documents the early
And the
history.
band played on.
Yes, and the band Played On used this term to refer to flight attendant Gaetan Dugas based on
Patient
his...
zero, right?
Yeah.
Patient zero.
Yes, that's all 30. Toss up 19. Before an invasion by Argos, this king led a group of mercenaries who plundered the tombs at Igi. This king died in battle against Antigonus II of Macedon after an old woman threw...
Yeah, Pyrrhus of Epirus.
Yes, for 15.
Nice job,
You knew
Alan.
that. Pencil and paper ready. For 10 points each, answer these questions about flipping a fair coin.
What?
If the coin is flipped 6 times, what is the probability that during the entire sequence of 6 flips, neither heads nor tails appears twice in a row?
Silly.
Answer?
1/2.
1/32. If the first 2 flips are both heads, what is the probability that the next 2 flips will also result in 2 heads?
It's just a 1/4. It's still
right?
Yeah.
Okay, 1/4. Wait.
Answer?
1/4.
Yes. If a player wins $1 every time she flips heads, but loses 10 cents every time she flips tails, what is her expected profit from each flip? You have 10 seconds.
Okay,
So how much is she?
$1 it's like 45 cents, right? 45 cents.
Yeah,
Right?
sure,
45
sure,
cents. 45 cents.
Answer.
45 cents.
That's 20 on the bonus.
You're welcome.
Toss up 20. This planet shrinks about 2 centimeters per year due to the Kelvin-Helmholtz mechanism. The Greek and Trojan...
Jupiter?
15.
Nice.
For 10 points each, answer the following about Native Americans in literature. Chingachgook turns out to be the title character of this James Fenimore Cooper novel in which Natty Bumppo rescues Colonel Munro's daughters. Answer.
The Last of the Mohicans.
Chief Bromden narrates this novel set in a mental hospital. It depicts Randall McMurphy's efforts to undermine Nurse Ratched.
One for yeah. Make sure you say it right. Yeah.
What?
Answer.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Tony Hillerman's novel, The Blessing Way, introduced Joe Leaphorn, a lieutenant in this nation's tribal police.
Wait, tribal police.
Nigeria,
Oh wait.
Let's go with like
Nigeria.
Cherokee maybe.
Answer.
Nigeria.
Navajo, that's 20
Oh,
on the
wait.
bonus.
Oh,
Toss up 21.
Oh, did-
The third edition of this book reordered a discussion of the crucifixion, alleging that Barabbas was intended as the new Jewish king. This book was partly inspired by a J.M.W. Turner painting of a scene from the Aeneid. It describes the priests of Diana at Nemi who won their positions by killing predecessors in ritual combat. A study in magic and religion is the Yes.
Oh, Coral Magic. Guards
No,
and-
minus 5.
Don't worry about
A study in magic and religion is the subtitle of, for 10 points, what book by James Fraser?
Oh,
Yes,
The Golden Bough.
that's 10.
That's just gross.
Ujamaa is a Swahili word that translates as familyhood for 10 points each. While leading this country, Julius Nyerere used the concept of Ujamaa as the
Or it
basis for
doesn't
domestic
matter. We're gonna
policies
take-
and
we're gonna take our
compulsory
time.
schooling.
Say it.
Tanzania.
Yes, Nyerere promoted Ujamaa in this declaration. It begins with the
Arusha,
Tanu
right?
Creed and describes Nyerere's belief in African socialism.
Arusha Declaration.
Yes, Ujamaa is one of the 7 principles commemorated during this 7-day celebration of African heritage.
Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
That's all 30. Toss up 22. It is said that Isa will descend at this time on the day of judgment to defeat Dajjal. In English, the 89th and 113th surahs of the Quran are usually named for this time of day. A prayer recited at this time has 2 obligatory rakats. The sahur meal is eaten before this time of day, which is when the Fajr prayer is recited. For 10 points, name this time of day at which fasting begins. Yes.
Dawn.
Yes, 10. In November 2017, Ratko Mladic, a perpetrator of the Srebrenica massacre, was found guilty of crimes against humanity. For 10 points each, the trial occurred at the International Criminal Court in this city.
The Hague.
The Hague.
Yes. A year earlier, this first president of the Republika Srpska was sentenced to 40 years in prison for genocide, in part for ordering the Srebrenica massacre.
No, Republic of Srpska.
What?
No.
Answer.
Milosevic.
Radovan Karadzic. In 2006, this first president of Serbia died of a heart attack while on trial for war crimes.
This is Milosevic.
Yeah.
Milosevic.
Yeah, 20 on the bonus. Toss up 23. In January 2018, a member of this legislature was suspended from Twitter for a tweet about barbaric gang-raping hordes. In October 2017, Norbert Lammert ended a 12-year tenure as president of this body. The right-wing AFD party gained... Yes.
Reichstag.
No, minus 5. The right-wing AFD party gained 94 seats in this body's 2017 elections. The Christian Democratic Union holds a majority in, for 10 points, what body that meets in the Reichstag and is the Parliament of Germany. Yes.
German Parliament.
No, it's the Bundestag.
Oh.
Toss up 24.
monkey.
A matrix's rank is this property of its column space. This property of a vector space is the cardinality of a basis for it. If a manifold with a value of n for this property has a boundary, this property for the boundary is n minus 1. Spaces for which this property is 3 can be described using cylindrical... Yes.
Dimensions.
Yes, for 10. A play opens with this couple discussing the recent death of Bobby Watson, whose family members are all named Bobby Watson, for 10 points each. Name this couple whom the Martins visit. It is later revealed that this couple's maid, Mary, is the lover of the fire chief, who also comes to their house.
Just wait. I want to end it. We're at 16.
Answer.
The Smiths.
Yes. The Smiths and the Martins appear in this author's play, The Bald Soprano.
Just end it.
Oh, UNESCO.
Yes. In Ionesco's satire of this tragedy by William Shakespeare, the title character conspires with Banquo to kill Archduke Duncan.
You know? Wait, title character?
Macbeth.
No, I got it. Blood knot.
Answer.
Macbeth.
Yes. That's all 30 on the bonus.